Okay, let's see if we're live on Facebook. I'm live on my software. It usually takes a minute here to load everybody up. So, okay, good. I am live on Facebook. Let's make sure that we're getting viewers coming in. That's what we want so people can learn. Let's see. Good. Okay. People are starting to jump on. Excellent. We have some viewers. That will continue going up. I want to make sure everything is aligned here. Okay, good. We are rocking and rolling. Excellent. So welcome everybody. Thank you for jumping on early. I appreciate it. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for knowledge, health, and freedom. And we're on a Thursday night, and I will be honest with you, I think I have officially gotten rid of any form of television tonight. Funny story is I actually have a little website app or an app on my desktop called Virtual Shield VPN. It's a very patriotic company, and basically it shields my IP address. So I have it on my computers. It blocks me from people seeing in, blocks all the, Big Brother out there. And as soon as I went to look at something tonight on television real quick, I am not allowed on those websites with my VPN blocker. So apparently I am banned from all forms of television except for YouTube, which I'm not heartbroken over. I do not mind losing that form of television, but I'm using Virtual Shield VPN, which I'll get a link up there for you guys. Excellent. So today was, the last couple days have been very busy, so some interviews that I hope you guys caught on to, and I'll go into those a little bit later tonight, but did some interviews both on health-related, 5G, etc. I hope I answered some of those questions. Today started off with a bang. So if you don't know, Venezuela is a socialist country. Hugo Chavez used to run it. Now it is run by Nicolas Maduro, and I'm butchering the pronunciations of that because that is not my native dialect. However, socialist, completely socialist. Now, there was an election in January 2019 where Juan Guaido actually won the election, which is what the people wanted, and yet could not take over because Maduro was in charge. And actually, at the State of the Union, the last State of the Union, President Trump actually had Juan Guaido, and they actually recognized him as, America recognizes him as the real president of Venezuela. So if you didn't know, Venezuela is a mess. It is, no one wants to live there. Now, I have some personal experience. I've never been there or lived there, but I have an associate who is like a sister to me, and she is from Venezuela. She has seen the dark side of Venezuela. You do not want to see the dark side. You do not want to see socialism. It's terrible. You can ask her. You can ask her family. Venezuela is sitting on a ton of oil. They are actually a very rich nation, very rich country, but they're not allowed to have it because they live on a socialist platform. And so America's been doing everything they can to help. However, now Nicolas Maduro has been indicted by the Department of Justice, I believe it was. Attorney General Barr gave an announcement this morning that he is basically trying to take down the crime family, and he put a $15 million bounty on the head of basically Nicolas Maduro. So not only that, but they had a big map up of the countries, and they showed the drug trafficking channels that were pushed up to the south part of the United States. And I believe they are measuring two tons or something like that of cocaine every year from Venezuela, from Maduro, up into the nation, which is horrible. And if you don't know how that works, we are a nation of a drug problem, both in the streets, but also obviously pharmaceuticals. And one of the reasons that is because the CIA, FBI, all the other ones, all the three-letter agency names, actually have been running those drugs for the longest time. If you didn't know, I mean, the Bushes are well known, Clintons are well known for essentially drug running. There's books on it, there's movies on it. There's, I believe, American Made with Tom Cruise was about Barry Seal. That's what that's about. So they put a bounty on Nicolas Maduro, so it's very possible that he is taken out very soon because they put a lot of money on his head. Now, interesting too enough, because when you deal with those countries in the northern part of South America, you also have Colombia, and most people know Colombia very well as a drug cartel country. And it's actually interesting. My mother-in-law, who is a retired registered nurse of over 40 years, used to work in the largest hospitals down in South Florida. And she talks about the cocaine cowboys, as they call them. So, like Miami people, South Florida know already. They see it, the amount of drugs coming over into our country from South America. And those drugs are pushed into the inner cities in different areas, but also the wealthy elite too. It's not the inner cities the only ones doing drugs. But that has actually been put on our country to suppress our country down, get people on drugs, so then you can fill the prison systems, because the prison systems are also run by the elite for profit. It is a very disgusting, suppressive cycle that we have here in America, where we have a drug issue that we created and we keep going, we fuel it with government, and on top of that we put innocent people, and I'm not saying people who do drugs are totally innocent. However, murder is very different than doing, having marijuana or having coke or something like that. You can rehab people. I truly believe you can rehab people. I've seen it done, and it's disgusting that we even give people the opportunity to go down with drugs and to have that kind of lifestyle. Now, the other interesting thing is, and I've talked about this before if you didn't know, that President Trump is very anti-drugs. So his whole family is anti-drugs. I don't believe they drink alcohol. Very straight and narrow on that standpoint. So I have a feeling this order came from Trump and obviously military, is to go after this, because I think they want to stop the drug trade coming up from South America. Now, the other interesting thing about this is understanding how our country works with other countries. So some people are going to say we do not need to take the president down from Venezuela because we might be instilling somebody else. Now, I don't think they don't want to install a dictator like we've done in the past. They want to put in the person who's actually elected by the people of Venezuela, because that's who should be in office. But taking that a little bit step forward, over the last several decades, we've had a problem where we actually install dictators. This goes back to the Shah of Iran, I believe in the 70s, off the top of my head. Now, this also goes back to Muammar Qaddafi in Libya, Prime Minister of Libya. So if you don't know about this, now I'm not saying, disclaimer, the dictators or the people I'm going to talk about, I'm not saying they're good people. However, I am saying that their countries were not as bad as our media likes to tell. So the first one is Qaddafi. So they were oil rich, they were gold rich, okay? And they actually gave monies, like when people got married, they got a certain amount of money for getting married, they got a certain amount of money for having children, they got a certain amount of money for like houses, stuff like that. Now, it wasn't socialism, it was that their country was very wealthy and they had a gold-backed currency. But what happened is, we went in, we destroyed their country, we basically drug Qaddafi out in the streets and had him executed. And then what we do is we destroy all their land, we take the gold, potentially, and then we install a Federal Reserve or central bank to then loan money to them to rebuild their country at interest. This is how dangerous the Federal Reserve System is, and this is exactly how it works. The same thing with Iraq. So Iraq was not involved with 9/11. It was not involved at all. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but what they wanted to do was they wanted to take Saddam Hussein out, which was also a CIA operative. But he went rogue on them because he was taking care of his own people. Now, I'm not saying, again, disclaimer, not saying he was entirely a good person. However, they were oil rich and they were gold rich, okay? And then we went in, and obviously we took Saddam out as well, but we took him out over completely false pretenses, because we said that they were involved with 9/11, which was completely inaccurate. And as I've said many times before, if you're new to this channel, 9/11 was a completely inside job. We'll go into that more later as well. But I wanted to tell you about this Saddam thing, the Qaddafi thing, because very different than what happens in Venezuela. But also, this goes back to Ron Paul. So I said I was a big Ron Paul supporter. He talks about backlash or blowback, meaning you go into a country, you install a dictator, you install a central bank, and then you wonder why those countries get mad at us and come back at us. It's because we're sticking our nose in other people's business, so we shouldn't be. Now, if you haven't noticed, President Trump talks about nationalism. Now, a lot of the media will call that isolationists or isolationism, meaning not in a negative connotation. That is not correct at all. Nationalism is being patriotic, it's loving America, it's being pro-America, taking care of ourselves first, and then trading fairly with other countries' products. That's actually how it's supposed to work. Every single country should take care of itself first, and then trade and be partners and be nice with other countries where we don't need war, we don't need insanity, and everyone can be prosperous because there's plenty of resources on this entire planet for everybody. But that's actually what Ron Paul talks about. There's a really great book, I believe it's called Revelations of an Economic Hitman. John Perkins, there's actually a book. He was one of the people that would go into a country afterwards, talk with the government and talk about setting up the banks and then loaning them fake money, fiat currency, to rebuild their country, and they would get interest on it. So basically, you go destroy a country, then rebuild the infrastructure, and put them into debt slavery. That's how it actually works. So that is not good. Now, on top of that, based on this Venezuela thing today, I want to go over a little bit. So keep in mind, and in this country, we have several congresswomen, congressmen, senators, etc., who are talking about socialism, democratic socialism. So they took socialism, but then they called it democratic socialism. So you have your Bernie Sanders of the world, you have your AOCs, Ilhan Omar, Tlaib, all these people who are talking about socialism or democratic socialism and how great it is. Socialism is terrible. I mean, if you want to know about socialism, I invite you, come down here, go talk to my associate who's like a sister to me. She will be happy to tell you how horrible socialism is. And just putting the word democratic on the front of it, calling it democratic socialism, does not make it pretty. It's trash, it's garbage. The highest form of government that we currently know throughout history is a republic. So, United States of America is a constitutional republic with democratically elected representatives. So a lot of people like to call us a democracy. We are not a democracy. Democracy is steps below republic. We are democratically elected representatives, meaning your elected representatives get voted via popular vote. But when you go up to the president, you're actually done by an electoral college. It's so important because democracy is like two wolves and a sheep. And then you get to vote what's for dinner. And obviously, it's obviously a funny example, but you're never going to vote again. The sheep is always going to be voted against because it's 2 against 1. So we are a republic. Now, you have a lot of people out there. Some may or may not know the name Adam Kokesh. There's other people as well. I don't know all their names because I don't follow it a lot. That will talk about anarchy, or they use libertarianism to talk about anarchy. Anarchy is actually a very low frequency of government, meaning there is no government, right? It's basically everyone for themselves. There's no rules, essentially. Now, I do not agree with that. I don't love there's parts of anarchy they talk about being okay, but it's very low because ultimately you're just constantly on self-defense at all times because you don't know what's going to happen. There's no rules. I think it's a very bad form of government or non-government. And I also believe as people we're tribal, meaning we find our groups, we like to hang with our groups, things like that. That makes you move up frequency consciousness to republic, okay? That's why we say republic is the best form. Now, some people will say capitalism is terrible, it destroys people. No. What you're watching right now is not capitalism, okay? That's called crony capitalism. It's called, the Federal Reserve is not capitalism. Federal Reserve is a slave bank. That's what it is. Now, if you remove the Federal Reserve and you go back to a treasury, now you're talking about real capitalism or free market capitalism. There is nothing better in the world than free market capitalism. That is literally how a group or a government or a people should work. That is the most ideal state. So there's a couple books. When I was in Washington, D.C. Last year, I think it was, I picked up some books. Now, I do not memorize these, but I read them, okay? And I still go back to them. These are what you should be reading if you want to know how a government and how economics should actually work. And these are really small books, but the first one is Benjamin Franklin, The Way to Wealth, okay? Very thin book, not hard. It's really pretty simple, okay? Next one, excuse me. This is the Declaration of Independence, okay? When we declared independence from England, all right? Next, the Articles of Confederation. I am reading through this one. I'm not all the way through. This is very, very eye-opening, okay? And then the last one, Constitution of the United States of America, okay? We, the people. And these are all very thin books, okay? Go through, read those. You can probably order them from the Capitol. I got them because I was in person, but I was just happy to have them just as a pocket thing to read. It brings you back to our founding and what we're all about. And right now, we are not in our founding. Our country was taken over. Now, it's interesting because everyone wants to know what this whole viral thing is, what the COVID-19 thing is. Keep in mind, we actually have technically lost credit with other countries, meaning China, Russia, etc. Our credit globally is gone, meaning our credit card declined. It's over. We can't use it anymore, okay? That's one of the reasons why the president now says we're going to manufacture in the U.S. Now, we can still print as much money as we want in the U.S. We can fund our infrastructure. We can give out money, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing because it's the Federal Reserve, but we actually cannot use money globally anymore for our stuff. That's why we have to make trade agreements, because no one trusts us anymore. Now, China is a whole different story because China has the globalists in it. But the petrodollar is falling. Now, the second thing I want to talk about with money is regards to the Federal Reserve. So a lot of people are still talking about the debt. And I understand that, and I truly do. I agree. Obviously, the debt is bad, and we can't keep giving out stimuluses. And the $2 trillion stimulus that they just did was a train wreck. But keep in mind, I'm actually kind of shocked at how many people are so angry at the fact that Congress passed just a stupid, trashy bill. When was the last time Congress actually did something for you? Is this new to everybody? Did you think that they were going to come out and be all happy and ethical and everything and bring you exactly what you wanted to bring? Absolutely not. I didn't expect them to do anything good. I expected them to plunge us more into debt. Maybe we'll get some money back out of it, which is our own money. It's been stolen from us, so I don't mind collecting that check. But at the end of the day, I don't expect our government to be doing anything good with any stimulus plans. And at the end of the day, it's also kind of a messed up situation where you don't want Pelosi getting some of the things she wanted, but also the president, for the short term, because he's playing a long-term game, the short term, he basically has to pass something because he knows he has to get things going, or he has to keep things stable, at least a little stable, until the end of Easter, which he said, so he can get the economy back going. I will tell you, and the media is going to destroy the president over this, they're trying to, is no president's handled a situation like this any better. And this is not because I'm in the bag for the president, but essentially, it's the best disaster relief or disaster handling and leadership we've seen probably ever from a president's standpoint. At least I have in my lifetime. And so economically, that's where everything is going. So we are allowed to print our own money for as much as we want, do what we need to, but we are not allowed to use our credit card overseas. Now, I'm not talking about you. You can go on vacation when this is all over and you can use your credit card. I'm talking about from a global standpoint and trade standpoint. The trade deals have to be done because our credit card got shut off, okay? Interesting there. Now, I hope you enjoyed some of the interviews that I was doing the last couple of days. So those ones I love doing because I love bringing information to you from other people. Sometimes I know areas. Sometimes I'm not obviously the expert in those areas, so I bring in as many experts as I can find. So last night was Morley and Dr. Senef talking about everything from viral components to copper to a whole bunch of different things that were really good. Now today I brought in Ken Rolla. Ken and I actually are only about a half an hour from each other, so I'm going to be visiting him very shortly. Ken is a genius, okay? A lot of people watched this today, excuse me, and there was some questions on certain things he was talking about. So in the beginning, we just talked about viral component handling viruses, right? Second part, we actually went into ETs a little bit, extraterrestrials. Now I'm gonna tell you about this for a second. I'm not gonna dive deep into it. I know I have a lot of people on here who are very spiritual and they get very concerned talking about extraterrestrials and things like that. It's just something I enjoy studying. I have no problem talking about extraterrestrials. I think it's a fascinating subject. I think if we think we're the only ones in this whole entire galaxy and universe, I personally, I'm not judging anybody out there. I think if we think that, we're being very short-sighted. So I've always found it fascinating. And I know several people who have had encounters with something. So all those people that I know who have had those are people I trust, that I know would not lie and are not trying to make things up, and they know stuff. I've also talked to 3 different theologians, biblical experts, and asked them about this, and asked them if biblical text, scripture, goes against that. And they said, if you actually know what you're looking at, there, of course there's ETs, of course there's other beings out there, of course there is. It's not all about us. And so I found it fascinating. But also, he talked about Dr. Stephen Greer, who is doing the Disclosure Project. He's a medical doctor. He's super smart, and he's actually out there helping channel stuff and finding and getting disclosure. He's doing awesome science experiments or scientific literature, bringing things in, showing that we're not alone. Paul Hellyer. So I talked about him today a little bit. He is a Canadian, I think former Prime Minister, don't quote me on that, Canadian Parliament. And he knows because he was directly involved with them. So, and he's a 70-some-year-old man. Doesn't make money off of it. He wrote some books, but he's not a multi-millionaire. He just knows about it, so he wants to talk about it. And if you want a really, really easy gradient scale on getting involved in that subject, again, I'm not pushing it on you, but go read their stuff, because it's just very simple. It's basic. It's just reality. They don't go into craziness and all off the charts and everything else. It's good stuff to read. Now, there's another doctor who I do not recall his name, and I feel terrible. I'm sorry, Dr. D'Onofrio. I just remember. I was thinking about it for like 20 minutes before I couldn't remember it. He's since passed. He is a chiropractor. Now, he had seminars when I was in college, in chiropractic school, where, keep in mind, chiropractic school, we learn some stuff, but we really don't learn everything about health. We really learn healthcare. We learn how to take care of people and get people better, really mostly by our seminars outside of campus or postgraduate studies, right? Most of my stuff that's where I've learned, not necessarily in college. College is really to get your degree, pass some classes, know the basics of physiology and anatomy, right? Now, Dr. D'Onofrio used to give a seminar called the Why Files, right? Always ask why. Why? Now, his first career was not a chiropractor. His first career was actually in aerospace engineering, and he worked with Boeing. And so he used to take me through some of the conspiracy theories, and he was very honest, very forthright, didn't BS, and very trustworthy and very knowledgeable. I trusted him, whatever he said, and not because I was blind trust. He was right every time he talked. So I went and asked him. He's also very biblical, right? Very studies scripture, smart man. So one of his seminars, I think I went to 2 or 3 of his seminars. In one seminar, I went and asked him straight up during a break. I said, have you seen or do you know anything about ETs and UFOs? And he said, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to tell you on the record. So we kind of went for a small walk. He worked with Boeing, and he actually saw behind the scenes in the hangars where they had UFOs. He said he saw them. He was next to them. There are other people who have those same exact experiences, including military. You can find all of this on YouTube now, and they're not BSing you. They're not gaining anything on it. They're not making money on it. As a matter of fact, they're being sought out by suppressive governments because they're talking too much and they don't want them talked about. So I just wanted to bring that up to you because we talked about it today, and some people like it, some people don't. It's not to upset anybody. It's just to give reality and know that there's more to this whole thing. So I hope that helps. But Ken talked about 5G. I hope that helped a lot. Also, the beautiful thing, and that's why I wanted to have Ken on so badly, was when he talked about 5G, he talked about, obviously it can be very negative, but at the same time, if you understand physics, if you understand frequencies and waves, and you understand scalar energy, we can actually turn 5G into healing and potentially reverse the problem in our bodies. And it's really simple, and we already have those products out there. So I'm actually hooking up with him. We're going to have all that information on my website, and you can hook into us and get that stuff. And trust me, it's not super expensive. It really isn't. Now, I have one of his pyramids at my house, which maybe I'll take a picture of and show it tomorrow or something like that. I'll post it. We have a pyramid that actually plugs in and sends out scalar waves throughout the house. And I will tell you, when we first started using it, it like knocked us out. We were right to sleep. So we have it on all the time because we like to protect ourselves. We have Wi-Fi, cell phones, all that stuff. So we're going to go into some more of that stuff. I hope that helps. Another person I started watching is, and he's former spy and CIA, and he has at least 20 books out now, something like that, more than that. His name is Robert David Steele. Genius. Go on YouTube, find Robert David Steele, start following him. You'll enjoy it just because he's very pro-America, pro-Republic, pro-Constitution, very spiritual man, but also former CIA, former spy. He knows how things work. He's been in the inside. He knows all of it. And so he actually drops information, I think, pretty much daily on YouTube. Fantastic guy. Another news tidbit from today. So the president did speak. I did not catch all of it. I caught some highlights on Twitter afterwards. But apparently the USS Comfort is coming into New York City this weekend, which is a naval ship that they have painted white with the big like Red Cross or medical check plus sign on it. And I guess he made some jokes, kind of, insinuated that he'd be kissing it goodbye when they shipped it off on Saturday, meaning there is speculation on the inside that that is going to be where prisoners go, and potentially global elite prisoners. Again, that's been the speculation the whole time, that people are going to be taken to Gitmo or Guantanamo Bay for military tribunals, sentencing, etc., mass arrests. We will wait to see if that occurs. I don't know if we'll see all of that, but that's what that will be in New York for, is a big ship coming in, maybe to take people away. They're going to use it as a hospital, they said. Dr. Fauci. So Dr. Fauci, CDC, who's standing behind the president at the press conferences. I do not trust him for anything. I don't particularly trust the CDC. That's just my own personal opinion. The FDA, etc. The CDC and the FDA have been pushing down and suppressing natural remedies and natural products for as long as I've ever known. They don't necessarily want people to get well without pharmaceuticals, which are patents, which make tons of money. And any of you out there, I'm sure a lot of you use natural health care. If you're following me, you know the power of nature and health. And so I don't trust him. I think he obviously is actually in the bag for Bill Gates, as well as the pharmaceutical companies and the vaccine companies. And so I think he is just pushing that line, and he's going to push that until he drops. I believe that's truly what he's going to do. Before I take some questions, I'll finish off with some prep stuff. Now, obviously, I'm hoping most of you are prepping. Again, the quarantine is a little different than we expected. Some people are quarantined, some people are not. Again, in Florida, I'm still going to work every day. It's a little slower, obviously, but we're still going to work. We're still helping people. We have a little bit less staff just because we're kind of keeping an eye on stuff. Some people haven't been out of their houses in a long time. I have friends in Michigan who are going on their second week. I know San Francisco, California, and New York, they're different as well. They're all quarantined. I believe in New York, somebody put some cameras in New York City, and it's like dead, silent, and quiet. So everyone is different. So prep how you have to. We still go to the store all the time. Everything is there. We go to health food stores. That's also one of the other tricks I think I've said in the past, but I'll restate it again. If you're going to big box stores, you're going to have a crazy time getting stuff, toilet paper, food, etc. Go to your small mom and pops if they're open. Go to your like little health food stores. They have everything because a lot of people aren't buying their stuff. And on top of that, if you think organic is expensive, organic will not be expensive because they're trying to get rid of the stuff. So we're buying organic stuff for half the price now sometimes because it's available and they need to get rid of it. So really look into that. I want you to follow some people, some friends of mine who are doing prepping videos, okay? Now the first one, Dr. Darren Schmidt. So Darren Schmidt, SCHIMIT. Schmidt. I did not tell any of these folks that you're going to be following them, but he has actually been doing the last 3 videos on YouTube he's done have shown you actual scientific peer-reviewed evidence, papers, like he actually puts them up on the screen, of all the ones that say that they handle viruses and COVID-19 or coronavirus. So he's doing videos showing the actual peer-reviewed literature, showing you what natural remedies, natural herbs, natural supplements, etc. Will handle exactly what we're dealing with. So check him out because he's giving great information. And if someone ever went to him and said, you can't do that, he's showing you the peer-reviewed literature. It's exactly what they go off of. So they're pushing pharmaceuticals, vaccines, etc., and we're showing the peer-reviewed information of how natural remedies actually fix things. Okay? I heard 10 Days of Darkness. Somebody wrote 10 Days of Darkness. Yes, I still understand that there probably is going to be 10 Days of Darkness. So I don't know fully, but that would mean internet goes down. I don't think electricity and water go down, but yes, that's possible. The next name I'd like to give you, a friend of mine who is really good with prepping, but also very good with guns, ammunition, self-defense, etc. His name is Edwin Dearborn, just how it sounds, Edwin Dearborn. And he gives it for people who are both know what they're doing, but also people who are just starting off and maybe have nothing, and giving you kind of like prepping 101. So I think it's going to be really good to follow his stuff as well. He's also a genius marketer. But it will give you just good information, okay? I want you to be able to go out and find good information. Once you click on their YouTube stuff, you'll get other stuff behind it. So I'm following a lot of self-defense stuff. I'm following some prep stuff, different things, because even when this passes by, okay, this is going to pass by in the next couple of weeks to a month or longer. And even if we don't have to be prepped and don't have to be ready and don't need the 3 weeks of food or whatever it is, or 4 weeks of food, this should serve as an example of what could also still happen in the future. So if you're not going into prepping mode after this and going into self-defense mode, knowing your weapons, understanding your Second Amendment, understanding your rights, you need to be. I mean, this is going to be one of the things that I focus on from here forward, is knowing what I need to be ready for, getting more gold, possibly silver, etc., making yourself ready for whatever comes down the pike, because you do not want to be unprepared. Another person who started interviewing recently, a really good friend of mine, and he's doing prepping, but he's also doing financial advice as well. Now, not him, he's not a financial advisor, but he's interviewing people regarding to good, solid, sound financial advice, and his name is Ethan Dangberg, Dangberg. You can follow him on Facebook. He'll probably have a YouTube page up very soon. But he's going through people, talking to people about financial stuff, prepping, survival, etc. So that is really good stuff to make sure you're ready, you're prepared, because you do not want to be unprepared. It's a bad feeling. It's kind of like when they told you to save money. You know, there's so many, like ourselves and friends, who have anywhere from 3 months to sometimes a year of financial reserves just in case something happens. And you think, well, that's a lot of money to build up over time. Well, you don't build it up overnight. You build it up over time. But then situations like this pop up, and you're prepared. You don't go into fear or scare mode, okay? While they tried to scare everybody the last few weeks, a lot of us, okay, we're relaxed. Obviously, we have to change some things. We have to move some things around. You'll spend less. You know, even we. I mean, we're not spending the same amount we normally spend. We go into a little conservative mode, right, to make sure we thin everything down. Doesn't mean we're going to stay there. We'll go back to expansion afterwards. But if you have 3 months, 6 months, a year's worth of food, water, money, guns, anything, you name it, you feel prepared. You don't go into fear. If you don't go into fear, the media can't control you. It's as simple as that. So I hope that helps. Let me look and see if there's any questions. Good. Somebody wrote all those names down. I really appreciate it. Excellent. If you have any questions, I'll be on. Just give me a couple more minutes that we can go over some stuff, and I'll see if there's any questions. If not, we'll be done for the night. But I appreciate everyone on here. Thank you so much. I hope it's been positive for you. Good. Let's see. Do you think you'll be able to use cell phones? If we go 10 days dark, probably not. I would imagine no. There were 5 Q drops for today. Yes, there were 5 Q drops. Let me explain to you what they were. Good question. Now, I'm not going to go through all my explanation of these, but I'll say what they are. One shows a Department of Justice emblem or logo, and it says treason, misprision of treason, rebellion or insurrection, sedition, conspiracy, advocating overthrow of government, registration of certain organizations, activities affecting armed forces generally, activities affecting armed forces during war, recruiting for service against the United States, enlistment to serve against the United States. So what they also said was there was infiltration amongst our own ranks, meaning basically we have had politicians, including presidents, elites, bankers, etc., who have sold our country out to everybody, and that is treasonous. So there are a lot of people on the hook for that. The next one was a American flag. This was a post. It says a person or a patriot, person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. A person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights against presumed interference by the federal government. Okay, so that is defending both foreign and domestic enemies. And then a traitor, number one, is a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. Number two, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. Signed, Q. So those were a couple of the ones tonight. Any other questions? Okay, let's see here. Any advice on natural remedies for a 2-year-old with seasonal allergies? Yes, liquid liposomal vitamin C could be very good. Good question there. Did we sell AI to China? I've heard yes, I've heard no. The globalists actually want us to become one with robots. I'll go into that later because that's a deep one. Good. Believe Fauci is likely part. Yes, exactly. Treason is ground for no rights of habeas corpus. Correct. But treason, keep in mind, treason by the Constitution is still either imprisonment or death. I don't know if they know that or not. Good. Let's see. Essential oils. Yeah, essential oils are great. Everyone likes different essential oils, but they're good. I will tell you with essential oils, not to step on anybody's feet, but essential oils will never fix or cure anything. They will handle some necessary symptoms, but also find that original cause of what's happening. But I do love essential oils. Okay, good. Gold-backed currency. Do you think it will be most likely? I do. I still think we have a reset coming because at the end of the day, we're at $22 to $25 trillion in debt after this stimulus, and we have lost credit abroad for the country, meaning like credit card, like no money. And we only have money internally. That will become. There's a certain point where it ends. I believe he's still taking the Federal Reserve. He, the president, is taking the Federal Reserve over the cliff to do a restart. I believe it's a reset. That's my personal opinion. JFK's grandkids. I did watch that a little bit. I think it's kind of interesting and hilarious. Who knows? I will tell you. They keep saying there's no coincidences and they're either pulling off the greatest psyop ever or it's true. So I'm going with true. But I thought it was funny. But at the same time, they're still Democrats. In the past, many of them have supported Pelosi. I hope that maybe they turned or they flipped. Something like that. Good. Difference between treason and high treason. Ooh, good question. I will actually have to look into that for you. My assumption, high treason would probably come from maybe a elected official, maybe a president, something like that. But also there's probably something to the crime. Let me look into that for you, Kevin. I appreciate the question. Good. Let's see. The epidemiologist that all countries base their quantities on backpedal to... Yeah, so I do not believe that the virus is working the way they wanted it to, meaning I think the numbers are going to go down faster. And I think the president is pushing on that, pushing back, and that's why he wants everyone to be back, because I think they know that yes, there's a virus involved, but it's not legit, and I think it was not, something didn't take or something happened there. Good. High note, yes, JFK's children singing the Timber song. It was fantastic. I think that is a good place to leave on a high note. Beautiful. Emergency broadcast system, we'll go into that tomorrow maybe. Can you repeat the name of the person I mentioned? Dr. Darren Schmidt is the doctor who has all that peer-reviewed literature. It's actually one of his last videos. I think his last video, I watched it tonight. But the last 3 are really good. All of his videos are fantastic. Good. He'll be happy that I sent you to his videos because he loves educating. Good. Okay. There's a lot more. We'll get through these and we'll go from there. I appreciate it. My voice is going a little bit. I do a lot of interviews. So one of the reasons I cough is not because I'm sick. I'm not sick. I don't have anything. I have my temperature checked daily too because at the office we follow the regulations. One of the reasons I cough is I've always battled. I grew up around a lot of smokers. I do not smoke myself, but I grew up around a lot of smokers. But now I actually do. I used to travel a lot more than I do now, but also I talk to people and patients all day long. And then I also love this platform and I love educating and I love talking to natural health professionals around the world. And so between doing interviews, and I don't get these like Oprah 10-minute segments and go to commercial and Oprah 10 minutes here and go to commercial. Like I'm going typically for half an hour to an hour. Last night with Morley and Dr. Senef, I went for an hour and 20 minutes, I think it was. And then these, I'm going 40 minutes tonight. So I talk a lot, so I'm constantly spraying down with some vitamin C. I'll go get some water after this, but don't worry, nothing is wrong. I'm slowly getting rid of my cough. I'm still working on getting all that stuff out of my lungs from years of being around smoking. It is okay. I am fine. Just want everyone to know I won't get any virus. My family, our immune systems are very strong. We eat really well. We take good supplementation. We're very positive people, and we help. Best natural remedies for smoking to quit. Do me a favor, Greg, message me because I have some specific stuff that could very much help you with that, and I would be happy to do that. So get healthy at drjasondean.com. Get healthy at drjasondean.com. Happy to help. Yes, drink water. I will drink water. Good, yes. Have I heard of TRS? No, Stephanie, I don't know what you mean by that. I might have, but I'm not recalling it off the top of my head what that means. So send me a message. If you have questions at drjasondean.com. Questions at drjasondean.com. I'm running out of words tonight. Thank you for being empathetic. You're so welcome. That's my job is to help people. All right, love you. If you want to hear an amazing podcast, I'm just going to promote people tonight. If you want to hear an amazing podcast, Dr. Ora Tovar, is on right now. She is Venezuelan, and she has a amazing podcast, which I've been on before, which I believe is called Get Naked, and she really just talks about people breaking down their barriers, their mental barriers to being successful in life and doing what they want. So go talk to Ora Tovar. She is fantastic. Love her. Okay, good. My favorite vitamin C. My favorite vitamin C is Cataplex C from Standard Process. I don't know if I have any here. I don't. I have it somewhere else. But that's my favorite vitamin C. CBD oil is good for certain people. Yes. Good. Excellent. Okay. Link to buy a pyramid. We'll get that for you. I'll get that taken care of. I'll post a picture of that pyramid tomorrow, I think. Good. Info on 5G production. Yes, I will do that. Good. Nice glass of water. Yes, I am going to get some water right after this. I appreciate it. Okay, good. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow as long as I can. If I'm ever not on in a given evening, don't worry. Usually it's either just because I got a little tired or something going on with the family because I still have my full-time life that I work with. It's never to like leave you hanging. I'll do my best to post, and then I'll do my best to be on live because my goal is not to just be on this for this whole crisis, okay? My goal has always been to bring as much information as long as you can. So even after this crisis is open, you will still get messages from me, you'll still get interviews from me, you'll still get monologues from me, bringing you information, natural health, politics, news, whatever best serves planet Earth. So I hope that helps. Good. Dr. Tovar said, thanks, Jason. The Get Naked Show with Dr. Ora. She is fantastic, again. Okay, guys. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Go help somebody in need. Go serve somebody. Go take care of them, whether you're a doctor yourself or you're somebody who just wants to go help somebody do that. And we will actually reconnect all of America. And then hopefully soon we will put Venezuela back to where Venezuela is supposed to be, which is a prosperous country with a good leader who helps take care of their citizens, and they can become, and hey, I want to go on vacation in Venezuela someday because it's supposedly very beautiful. So Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, signing off. You all have a wonderful evening. Keep the questions coming in. We'll answer them as best as possible. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.